Okay, so here we are. It's Valentine's Day. It's cold outside. I'm trying to catch up on some of the winter work here. And what I got going here is I'm melting some wax as part of my upcoming video I'm going to shoot about waxing plastic foundation. Of course, you got to get your wax liquefied before you put it on. This is a double boiler approach. Really, the only safe way to do it, it's a turkey fryer. Everybody's probably seen one of these things before. I've had this thing for 25 years or more, and got a big pot of water. I got another pot inside with some broken up bits of wax. This isn't the prettiest wax in the world. It's comes out of my solar wax melter. It's got a little dark. It gets crap in it once in a while, but I don't care. This is perfectly usable for waxing sheets of plastic foundation. And now I'm going to pan over here and show you a lump as it comes out of the solar wax melter. Every year I try to take 50 boxes of my older Honey Super frames and melt them out, clean them up, recycle them. It's a labor of love because you sure don't make much money at it. It's a lot of work, but there's no energy involved. Anyway, this is the wax that comes out of my solar melter. And you can see it's got this bloom on it here, which people worry about being mold. Nah, it just comes right off. Might be some dust in it too, but this is perfectly good for what I'm doing here. So stay tuned for a video about how we get this wax onto foundation, and I'll talk a little bit about my feelings about waxing foundation, and why you would do it and why you wouldn't do it. Okay, so I'm back ready to wax these sheets of foundation here. I've taken that wax that I melted in the previous video and I put it in this, I don't know, it's a 9x13 cake pan. And I've got it sitting on a little hot plate, sort of what you'd have in an apartment or a dormitory or something. And I've got it set at about half the temperature that it's capable of. You don't want to melt the wax in here, you just want to keep it melted, okay? We do the melting on the water bath over there, the double boiler. You got to be very careful because you don't want to put real high direct heat on wax or it will have the possibility of burning, exploding, disastrous results. And another thing I want to say is if you look over here, they've got a fire extinguisher very close at hand all the time whenever I'm working with wax. Okay, so I got these sheets of plastic foundation, and one of the questions that comes up is, why are you waxing your own foundation? And that's a good question because all of the supply houses have pre-waxed foundation. That's the standard plastic foundation that you buy. If you want it unwaxed, you've got to specifically look for it at the bottom of the page somewhere on the catalog. So, as I said earlier, I've been recycling a lot of Honey Supers and melting out the beeswax foundation that's in the frames in my solar melter. I've collected all this wax. I'm recycling them. Some of those combs in my Honey Supers were over 30 years old. So I try to do 50 boxes a year. So that's why I'm waxing this. I figured I could save some money by using my own wax. This isn't really high quality wax that somebody would buy for candles or whatever. So, but it's perfectly good for this use here. So I did a little math. I went into the catalog, went to the Manlay catalog, which is where I buy most of my foundation and frames. And 100 unwaxed sheets of plastic foundation are $1.05 a piece. If you want to buy them waxed with regular wax, they're $1.30. And then you can get them double waxed for $1.58. So, I don't know. I'm using up what I've got. This is a labor of love, really. I don't make a lot of money at this, but I weighed up some frames foundation that I waxed last night, and I got between 0.4 and 0.5 pounds of beeswax per 10 sheets going on here. So it's a good dose. So let's talk about waxing foundation and double waxing and so on and so forth. I generally don't double wax foundation. I've got a lot of older wax like this stuff. Sometimes I'll just roll it onto some frames of wax foundation to use it up. Double waxing foundation will not make bees draw combs unless they absolutely need to, okay? They don't make combs because we want them to. They make combs because they're running out of space in the hive. There's a nectar flow has begun, or there's a lot of brood rearing going on, and they're out of space. That's the only reason they draw combs. So if you put a ½ inch of wax on this plastic foundation, you're not going to make them draw this foundation any faster than they would if you have regular wax on it, okay? But the benefit of putting extra wax on is that the bees take this wax and they start manipulating it and adding on to these cell bases in the foundation. And so if you have more wax on there, there's more deeper cells that they're going to incrementally, of course, then deeper cells than if there was less wax on it, because they've got that wax and they can make them deeper before they have to start consuming honey or nectar and producing wax to add to these cells themselves. So, and I did a little kind of study a couple years ago with a bunch of nukes in September that needed a lot of space. I fed the heck out of them, and I put every conceivable combination of foundation on top of these things. Wax, double wax, every other one, double wax, all of this stuff. I tried them all. And 10 days into the experiment, you couldn't tell the difference between one or the other. So really, the only ones that didn't draw the wax were the ones that I kind of used as a control and I didn't feed. All right, and they didn't draw any wax. They didn't have natural nectar coming in, and they just stayed where they were. So let's talk about the roller here. This is a regular foam. It's not foam. It's a paint roller. It's not the foam ones. It's got like a 3/8 nap on it. You get it at any paint store. You get these little wire roller frames. They're cheap. I use them after one session. I throw them away because it's a pain in the neck to get them reliquefied after they've hardened up overnight. So this wax is good and hot. It's not too hot. You put your frame in, your roller in there. You shake it once, up and back. Okay. I got two stacks of frames here, foundation here. Flip them over, up and back, flip them over, up and back, okay? And I just stack them off of here. There's really no need to worry about them cooling down. I mean, I've done 400 sheets, 200 last night, 200 this morning, and they don't stick together. They just a natural stickiness of the wax. It's not like you got to peel them apart or anything. So it's pretty easy. Put it in, shake off the real excess wax. The only mistake you can make is you get going here, and after about 10 of these things, you're sick of doing it already, and you lose track of whether or not you flip them over. So I always tend to, when I go to put them into the finished pile, I just kind of flip them, take a look on and make sure that they're done on both sides here. So yeah, I don't think there's that much more to doing this. You're an expert at it now. You've seen me do, I don't know what I do there, 8 frames. So I'm going to do another video where I talk about the other end of this, where I'm scraping the frames that I've recycled from my honey supers and putting the new foundation in. That's another labor of love, because boy, it's so nice when you get a pallet of new frames and you take the plastic off, take them out of the pallet, put them on the honey supers, and away you go. None of this work right here. You know, the pre-assembled, ready to go frames are just so convenient and relatively inexpensive when you consider the labor in it. We'll talk about that later on.